call the January 8th, 2026 Scott County Board of Adjustment to order, please. First order of business, approval of the December 4th minutes. I've read them and make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Charlie, would you like to swear the speakers in?
Yes. Anyone signed in to speak, if you'd stand and raise your right hand, please. Stand. Not that that's really that important, probably, is it? But anyway, you swear or affirm the statement you're about to make to be the truth to the best of your information and belief. Thank you.
All right. All right. There are no old applications, so I guess we'll proceed to the new applications.
Good evening, everyone. This case is of a variance request to reduce the front yard setback from 50 feet to 25 feet for the construction of a pole barn at the property addressed 116 Northwoods Court. The site is around 10 acres and is zoned A1 and is accessed from Northwoods Court. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property which sits within the Westwood subdivision area, which has historically created challenges for building placement and site development due to its steep topography. The site is currently developed with a single-family residence with a driveway, and the applicant intends to place the pole barn behind the house at the northern edge of the property with the reduced 25 feet setback. As seen in the image, the site slopes down with heavy contours and grading at the rear end of the house, and the northern edge seems to be the appropriate location for the placement of the pole barn as stated by the applicant. In reviewing this request, the board is reminded of the criteria outlined under KRS 100.243, which governs the granting of variances. Before any variance is granted, the board must find that it will not affect public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity. It will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of zoning regulation. The statute also requires that the request must arise from special circumstances that are unique to the property, not self-imposed, and that the strict application of the ordinance would cause an unnecessary hardship or deprive reasonable use of the property. It's also the applicant's burden to provide evidence justifying findings of fact satisfying KRS 100.243. In terms of the applicant's justification, as stated, the property contains a very steep terrain that limits the available building area. Portions of the property outside the required setbacks contain steep slopes that are unsuitable for safe and functional construction. Due to these topographic constraints, there are no other feasible locations on the property for placement of the proposed pole barn. In accordance with KRS 100.2431A, the requested variance arises from special circumstances that are unique to the subject property and do not generally apply to other properties in the same zoning district. These physical constraints are inherent to the site and are a natural condition of the land rather than the result of any action taken by the applicant. Due to these site-specific conditions, strict applications of the required setback standards creates limitations that are not typically experienced by other A1 zone properties. In terms of KRS 100.2431B, strict application of the required 50-foot northern side yard setback would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the property. The pole barn is intended to serve as an accessory residential and agricultural function that is commonly expected for a property of this size and zoning. Denial of the variance would result in an unnecessary hardship by preventing reasonable accessory use of the property. The requested variance provides the minimum relief necessary while remaining consistent with the intent of the zoning regulations. Also, the circumstances creating the hardship are the result of the natural topography of the lot and not the result of any actions taken by the applicant in relation to KRS 100.2431C. In terms of findings, again, the project site consists of approximately 10 acres, is zoned A1 agricultural, which requires a minimum 50-foot side yard setback. The project site is located within the Westwood subdivision, where the overall neighborhood has a character of very steep terrain that creates challenges for building and development. The steep topography of the property creates a unique physical circumstance that limits feasible and level building areas on the site and not generally applicable to properties within the A1 zoning district as a whole. Strict application of the required setback would prevent reasonable use of the property for accessory use and would create an unnecessary hardship by preventing construction of the proposed pole barn. The requested reduction of the side yard setback from 50 feet to 25 feet represents the minimum relief necessary to allow reasonable use of the property. An approval of the requested variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and is consistent with the intent of zoning regulations. In conclusion, the staff recommends approval of this variance request to reduce the required northern side yard setback from 50 feet to 25 feet at the subject property with the following conditions of approval as stated in the staff report. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for staff?
Just one, where you've got the nearest arterial, you've got Cherry Pike.
Yes, that's towards the east side of the property, eastern edge of the
East
property.
side.
Yes.
Okay.
It may have been a mix-up between Cherry Blossom and Cincinnati Pike.
Cincinnati, I think, yeah.
Trading, yeah.
That's what I thought, Cincinnati probably,
Okay.
yeah.
They probably used to say Cherry Blossom. Copy paste.
Okay, that's fine, go ahead.
Great. That's all for now then. Hold on. Is applicant here? Would you like to step forward and add anything?
I really don't have anything to add. She was very thorough in her explanation, and everything that she said I totally agree with, so I don't have anything to add at this time.
Are there any questions for applicant?
Everything okay with you, Charlie?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I make a motion to approve S 2026-02 based upon the staff's recommendations of approval, conditions of approval.
I'll second.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. And you can leave if you want. You don't have to though. You can stay with us if you want.
I will send you the follow-up letter tomorrow. I will send you the follow-up letter tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next.
All right. This application again is for a variance request to reduce the rear yard setback from 100 feet to 50 feet for the construction of a pole barn at the property located at 105 Lena Court. The site is around 2 acres, is zoned A1 and is accessed from Lena Court. Overall, based on staff review of the submitted materials, staff recommends denial of the variance request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property that sits within the Morgan Manor neighborhood. The general topography of the overall site is relevantly flat and leveled. Let's see. The site is currently developed with a single-family home with an in-ground pool. Although the property is zoned A1 agricultural, it is not a typical standalone agricultural lot but is a part of an agricultural cluster subdivision. When that subdivision was approved, it came with a separate set of development standards in terms of the rural cluster regulations. Under those regulations, lots are allowed to be smaller and more residential in character, but in exchange, they must meet larger setbacks. For this subdivision, the required setbacks are 50 feet in the front yard, 25 feet on the side yard, and 100 feet in the rear yard. The applicant is meeting the required front and side yard setbacks of 50 feet and 25 feet respectively, and is requesting a variance only from the required 100-foot rear yard setback. Also, there are no previous Board of Adjustment applications or approvals on record for this property. The guidelines for KRS 100.243 as mentioned in the previous presentation. The image here shows the survey plat submitted by the applicant with other few drawings in terms of elevations. The rear yard contains an on-site sewage disposal system, including a septic tank, distribution box, and 3 leach lines. The staff visited the Scott County Health Department as part of the review process to gather more information and confirmed that the first leach line begins approximately 92 feet from the residence. Each of the leach lines are 3 feet wide with 8 feet separation in between each line, followed by an additional 10-foot buffer beyond the final leach line, as it's the minimum required separation between a building foundation and an on-site sewage disposal system component as per the Kentucky Administrative Regulations, Chapter 10, Section 8. In addition to the septic system, the property is subject to a required 50-foot tree preservation easement within the rear yard as required under the Rural Cluster Regulations, Section G3. As per the staff's independent review, when these site constraints and required separation distances are considered together, they extend to approximately 127 feet from the residence, and approximately 70 feet of buildable space remains available within the rear yard. Staff finds that this remaining area is sufficient to accommodate the proposed 32 by 48 foot pole barn without requiring the full reduction of the rear yard setback from 100 feet to 50 feet. Even accounting for the septic system configuration and required separation distances, staff finds that the proposed structure does not require the extent of the setback reduction requested. Staff further finds that a rear yard setback greater than 50 feet, such as approximately 70 feet, would allow reasonable placement of the pole barn while maintaining closer compliance to the intent of the zoning regulations. These are some of the site images provided by the applicant, which shows the view of the rear yard of the property. Further on, staff finds that while strict application of the setback requirement may limit placement of the pole barn as currently proposed, the applicant has not demonstrated that alternative locations, adjusted site layouts, or reduced structure dimensions could not allow reasonable use of the property while remaining consistent with zoning requirements. Overall, staff finds that the requested setback reduction does not represent the minimum relief necessary as required under KRS 100.243. In terms of findings, again, the project site is a 2-acre parcel zoned A1 agricultural and is part of the agricultural cluster subdivision, which requires a minimum rear yard of 100 feet. The applicant meets the required front and side yard setbacks established by rural cluster regulations. The rear yard contains an on-site sewage disposal system that limits building placement options. Based on staff's review, sufficient buildable areas exist on the property to accommodate the proposed pole barn with a rear yard setback greater than 50 feet. The applicant has not demonstrated that alternative building locations, reduced structure dimensions, or a lesser setback reduction could not allow reasonable use of the property while maintaining closer compliance with the zoning regulations. The requested variance of the rear yard setback from 100 feet to 50 feet does not represent the minimum relief necessary as required from KRS 100.243. In conclusion, the staff recommends denial of the variance to reduce the required rear yard setback from 100 feet to 50 feet at the subject property. Staff finds that the applicant has not provided enough evidence that the requested reduction represents the minimum relief necessary. Based on the site conditions, staff believes that a reduced rear yard setback of up to 70 feet may allow reasonable use of the property while maintaining greater compliance with the zoning regulations. Should the board approve the application, staff recommends including the following conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Thank you.
I have a question for you, please. So I understand that we're saying the 50 is not the minimal because 70 should be sufficient at that site. But also you have stated that they have not demonstrated that alternative building configurations, reduced structure dimensions, or another site. So are we looking at just maybe altering from 50 to 70 foot, or we still have to deny because we've not considered other areas?
It's completely up to the board's decision, but as a staff, we feel that the 50 feet setback is not the minimum relief necessary. But if the board decides to go ahead with approving the variance, the options could be around 70 feet of setback relief.
And then not have to worry about alternate sites at all?
Yes.
Okay, that's.
Because
everybody else have-
the applicant also mentioned during the process of the staff review that they did consider the right side of the property as a potential location, but the site sloped down towards that edge. So this was the appropriate location for them to choose.
Okay, I think they said water collection too,
Yeah.
or something. All right, anybody else have any questions for staff?
Yes, I do. So in other words, instead of a 50-foot variance, you're saying a 30-foot variance is sufficient?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just
Not
want to make sure I
another,
had the
not
minutes
another
right.
area. That's what I was trying to.
And I think back to your question, I think you can adjust that right here on the fly.
That's what I was
And
hoping,
say
but she
we're-
had mentioned
We
alternate
will-
areas.
Yeah, we will deny the 50, but we will approve the 30.
Yeah,
Yes, you can do that.
that's
Just to
what-
confirm that, that should be the 30 feet relief. That means the 70 feet variance
Yeah, the 70-foot
Right.
remaining
remaining.
will be, yes, will be
And
the
the
setback.
30 feet would be the relief.
Yeah.
20 less than what they're asking for.
Yes.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for staff at the moment?
Not for staff.
All right, can the applicant here, would you like to step forward? Would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, I have some clarification. So, we discovered, like, right at the very end, I was talking to Toshi, that the architecture plan we sent, they had the direction of the pole barn facing the wrong way. And we didn't, that was our mistake, we didn't see that. So, on what was submitted, the pole barn would be facing south, which would face our neighbor's yard, and we want to face it east towards our house instead. So we would just be rotating it.
Did you just notice it today?
No, I noticed it, it was back in December before this
So
all
is
closed up.
the diagram that we're being shown accurate?
It would just be,
Yeah, how is it changing the feet, the footprint? That's the, I'm not worried about the orientation so much as the
No,
footprint.
because that would, if it's a rectangle and then you turn it,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
I
that's
wanna know-
exactly.
I want to know the footprint, yeah.
And I mean, we don't go off of HOA, but it looks like no portion, like that won't work for you to be closer than 50 foot is what it says.
well, so I was just letting you know that it was,
Okay.
the thing said, it was, she had it done towards the south, we want it towards the east, towards our house, we don't want our garage facing the neighbors. But he went out and staked out with the 70 foot instead of the 100, and we can, and it will fit at the 70 foot without hitting our leach lines. We couldn't get When I tried to get information about the leach lines from the health department before, they gave me the rough drawing that's in here, but Toshi was able to get more exact numbers of where our leach lines are located, so he went out and measured everything and staked out, and even with the barn facing the east towards our house, and the 70 feet setback that they were recommending, it would fit without, we'd have plenty of room without hitting our leach
So you're in
lines.
agreement with staff that 70 foot is adequate?
It will
You
work.
do not need a
Yes,
50?
yes, he went and put everything out, and it worked.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I wasn't.
We just didn't have we couldn't get
Well, I mean, that
specific
changes
location of our leach lines. And once we figured that
everything.
out, it was a lot easier for us.
That's
Yeah,
why
we're
our
like,
staff
okay.
is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well then.
That changed how I felt.
All right, so we have staff changing and them changing. Everyone's in agreement. I'll take a motion.
Oh, my goodness.
I second.
Or would you like to make a
Or I move the board approve the application S202603 at the request of to reduce the required rear setback from 100 to 50 feet, right? At 70. I'm like, where are we at now?
Yeah, so just 100 to 70.
At 105 Lena Court, and due to staff findings and our conversation and your testimony,
Sorry, that was a little.
and the conditions of approval.
All right, motion's been made. I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Motion's made second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
You've got a beautiful place out there. I drove out there. It's beautiful.
It is really
Thank
pretty.
you, we love it, thank you. Yes. I'm sorry for the confusion, though.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah. All right.
Like, we can't go off the HOA, but I saw that and I was like, oh, that voids like your agreement with them, even if you wanted it to work. So
Yeah, no,
that's
no.
great for you all that everything
Yeah.
worked out.
Yes.
Appreciate you working with staff and everybody
thank you
can
all
see
so
each
much.
other's side. Thank you. No argument at all. That was pretty good.
Who's this?
Hate to.
All right, so that's the only applications we have that are new. Any other business?
This is,
We, I guess, are still waiting, as we said earlier, about the Queen's Court, that'll be down the road.
It's not on, so
That's what I'm saying, no other
it
discussion
doesn't
yet.
exist
All
at the
right.
moment.
Well, that's all.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Adjourned.